Based in large part on their confessions, 5 teenagers were arrested, tried, convicted, and sent to prison for more than 6 years. But now questions have been raised about those convictions after DNA testing identified another man as the rapist, and that man claims he acted alone. Supporters of these so-called Central Park Five say the confessions were coerced, and therefore the conviction should be vacated.
On December 19, 2002, 5 Black and Latino men were exonerated after being wrongfully convicted of brutally attacking and raping a woman in Central Park in April of 1989. The 5 men came to be known as the Central Park Five, but to their families, they were just 5 teenage boys who lost their childhoods to the American justice system. Soon after the assault, one of America's richest men paid $85,000 to place full-page ads in several newspapers, calling on the state of New York to adopt the death penalty. He said, quote, "Send a message loud and clear to those who would murder our citizens and terrorize New York. Bring back the death penalty and bring back our police." That man was Donald Trump. And while he didn't include the names of the Central Park Five in his ads, Trump made it very clear that his opinion was about this case and that he hated these 5 young men.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
Yusef Salaam, Kevin Richardson, Antron McCray, Raymond Santana, and Corey Wise were made into pariahs. And even though Donald Trump played a huge role in that, after their exoneration, even as president, Trump refused to apologize for what he had done. Now, 34 years later, Donald Trump is facing criminal charges in New York for a hush money scheme related to an alleged extramarital affair he had with a porn star. He is also being accused of rape by writer E. Jean Carroll, who says Trump assaulted her in a New York City department store in the 1990s. Trump has denied both accusations, calling them a hoax, a lie, and a scam. But one of the now exonerated 5 calls it karma. His name is Yusef Salaam, and he has a message for the former president. 34 years ago, your full-page ad stated in all caps, "Civil liberties end when an attack on our safety begins." Now that you are being indicted and are facing criminal charges, I do not resort to hatred, bias, or racism as you did. As you once did. Rather, I am putting my faith in the judicial system to seek out the truth. I hope you exercise your civil liberties to the fullest and that you get what the exonerated 5 did not get, a presumption of innocence and a fair trial. Joining us now is Yusef Salaam, one of the exonerated 5. He is also an author, a motivational speaker, and a candidate for city council in New York City's 9th District. Mr. Yusef, if I may, it is a pleasure to have you here. I'm glad to see you here. And what an extraordinary story you have. You call it karma, but I am impressed with the generosity of your spirit in this moment, given the fact that after all that you were accused of, here Donald Trump is now being accused of rape, accused of not playing by the rules, if you will, and you wish him nothing but a fair trial. Can you talk to me about what it has been like to live through this particular moment, post-presidency, now with criminal indictments?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. You know, the polar opposites that we are living in remind us what's at stake. Mm-hmm. It reminds us that we are still living in an America that is divided and unequal, and that there are so many more steps to take in order to unite us. Right now, we live in the kaleidoscope of the human family, but there are haves and have-nots. There's attempts to make us make sure that we are comfortably poor in a country that is a first-class country. But Black and brown folks have always been pushed to the back, almost relegated to second-class citizenship. And to me, it reminds me that miracles are still happening, that a story that made people the scum of the earth, that buried us alive, made us into seeds. But not just us, the 5, it made us as a people, because when they saw us, they looked at the color of our skin and they judged us by it. And here we are 34 years later. And I couldn't help but think about what Dr. King said, the arc of the moral universe. Here we are 34 years later, and the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice.
It is so powerful that you still have such a resolute belief in the concept of justice, given how you were wrongfully incarcerated. So much of your life was stolen from you. Could you just talk to me a little bit about that moment when you were wrongfully arrested and convicted, and you had Donald Trump taking out full-page ads calling for, effectively, you to be executed?
That ad, if you will, was a whisper into the darkest enclaves of society, for society or someone to do to us what they had done to Emmett Till. They published our names, phone numbers, and addresses in New York City's newspapers. And you got to remember, we were 14, 15, and 16-year-old children. And they looked at us and said, well, they did it, let's just do this. Pat Buchanan wrote in the papers a while later, not a long while later, a short while later, he writes, well, why don't we just take the eldest one and hang him from a tree in Central Park? And to be introduced to what I now call the American nightmare, when all I wanted was the American dream. All I wanted was to dream with my eyes wide open, get up and ride my skateboard and, you know, enjoy the same park.
Be a child.
Be a child. All of that was taken from us.
Did you wonder why he directed so much hatred towards you? I mean, how did you unpack, if you could, why he found so much rage in your story, in this moment, in this case? Was it purely race? I mean, why do you think you became the target of so much anger from him?
Unfortunately, this is the narrative in America. We became the modern-day Scottsboro Boys. I connected my case with Emmett Till because we all know what happened. And here a young boy lost his life because they said he whistled. And that was the most tragic of tragedies. They tried to cover that up, but yet his mother was so courageous. She wanted the world to see what they had done to her son. And when I think about our case and I think about all of the players, some of this might be white supremacy, white male dominance. Some of this might be racism 101. But I think when you really, really dive deep into the weeds, you realize that the ability to take $85,000 of your own money, green light an ad that was created not 2 weeks after we were accused. It had been in creation, and it was produced, signed, sealed, and delivered 2 weeks after we were accused, in many ways sealing our fate.
Yeah.
But 34 years later, here I am doing something with this platform that they gave me. 13 years after we were accused, the truth came out. And you would wonder that why didn't the truth come out to the same fanfare that our supposed guilt got? 400 articles were written about us within the first few weeks. Everyone was seizing on the opportunity to report this in such a way that sealed our fate, that ensured that if we survived prison, we would have a social death.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about this story is that it became a miracle.
Yeah.
That we can look at and say, wow, if he did it, I can do it.
And you are doing it. You are running for city council. You are here. You are a teacher, a motivational speaker.
Yes, indeed.
I don't want to call it a silver lining because what happened to you was so much more than a cloud, but it is a miracle. I feel so deeply honored that you are sharing your story on this program and look forward to a lot more coverage of the successes of the Exonerated Five. Thank you so much for your time, Yusef Salaam.
My pleasure.
Good luck with everything.
Time. Don't forget, HarlemForYusef.com. This story is still being written, and that's the beautiful part about it.
It sure is.